Rick, you ready for a quick one?
Yes, sir.
Great.
Always.
Thanks, man. Hey, the power of acknowledgement. A
Oh,
lot of times, uh, uh, what people, may even what people say they want, oftentimes, man, is just to be, recognized and appreciated. And when budgets are tight in the workplace or when there are challenges in the personal life, a little bit of acknowledgement from other people goes a long way, an expression of gratitude. And I've seen some of that firsthand, man. And I'll just talk about my most recent experiences over at Mayo Clinic. One happened about a couple of weeks ago. I was in the hallway around some colleagues who are doing amazing work in the transplant space. They are transplanting, hearts and kidneys and livers and really extending people's quality of life. It's an amazing group of people. And I was with some nurses and some coordinators for heart transplant.
hmm.
And we were talking about a mutual friend that we have in Brian Hardaway, and they shared a story that was hilarious. And Brian and I started to work on this wellness path together about a year and a half ago. And so Brian and these group of nurses and some other people, they are part of a fitness challenge group where they really inspire each other. Is really healthy competition in which they encourage each other to go hard during their workouts, and they log it in. And it's just this beautiful thing they've been doing for a number of years now. And so one day they had last year, they had a meeting, and Brian said something like, "Oh yeah, I got a personal wellness coach, named Keith Jones," and they didn't know me at this time, right? And so Brian was talking about this, and so I met them a couple of weeks ago, and they were like, "You're Keith Jones?" I was like, "Yeah, So, oh, that's right. You're going to bring the practice to heart transplant." I was like, "Yeah, I'm very happy and grateful, that Dr. Hardaway and Candace and is making this possible to come and do the practice with you guys." It's like, well, you know what Dr. Hardaway told us? What Dr. Hardaway told us was a year ago, he was like, yeah, I got this personal wellness coach, I'm living my best life. It's like, and we come to find out that you're not just his wellness coach, you're all of our wellness coach. so they just totally, busted him. And so we had a great laugh about that. But we were talking about just how amazing a person Dr. Hardaway is. It's not only is he skilled in his field and at the top of his game, but he's just really a kind person. Like, he comes into a space and he's a wellness centered leader. He brings this goodness, no matter what the situation is, that everyone feels good around him. And so he's just amazing in that way. So, but we started talking about, they said, there's another doctor here. His name is Dr. Robert Scott. And I met Dr. Scott once in just passing. I passed by his office, and I just already heard so many great things about him that I, wanted to meet him and say hello. You're talking about humble, Rick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Sweet.
this doctor is so humble. But what the nurses told me was that on a regular basis, and they don't know, it's no scheduled day or the same day, but he will send them emails and leave them notes thanking them for their contribution to him. If he noticed that they're having a day in which their spirits seem to be down, he sent them a note and just say, "Hey, listen, I just want to make sure that you're okay. And you notice you were down. You're doing such a great job for our patients. Thank you for everything that you do for me." And these nurses, they've saved these notes of acknowledgement, man. And they're reading it to me, and and the way they're sharing with me, man, I feel like I'm touched. And I mean, everybody at Mayo is incredibly busy, and the physicians are super busy too. And for them to take that time to express that, and people will say, "Well, I don't have time for that. I'm so busy." I don't want to live a life where I don't have time for that. You know what I'm saying, Rick? To where I don't have time to acknowledge other people and let them know what they mean to me and what value they bring and how grateful I am for them. I want to live a different kind of life. If that's not a life I want to live, then something has to go. And it's not that. I don't, I've talked to one of my friends who's in Rochester. He's a palliative care physician. And he said he's met a lot of people in their deathbeds. And not one person said, I wish I would have worked more. Not one person has ever said that. And so, what they will say is, I wish I would have appreciated people more. Yeah. I wish I'd done this. And we had an opportunity to do that. And it's something that if you're not used to do it, you can train yourself to do it. And it will be you will benefit more. They did a study on who experiences more joy and goodness and happiness, the person who receives gifts or the person who gives. In every case, it's the person who gives the gift. And so Dr. Scott is doing this with, and he'd be so embarrassed if he knew that this story was being told, but this is what the nurses share with me. And then one of my mentors, leaders, allies at Mayo, his name is Dr. Jonathan Layden. And he doesn't know this had happened either, but another employee leader over at Mayo Clinics forwarded me a note from Dr. Layden that he sent out that morning to a lot of healthcare professionals that support him and help the patients. Rick, man, I hope I don't, I'm not crossing any bounds of reading what he wrote, man, but this is what he wrote. He took the time to write this to these amazing people, and it was titled Words of Gratitude. And what he wrote was this, man. He says, I was reflecting on life at Mayo after a morning meeting yesterday and other interactions throughout the day. I just wanted to take the time to thank all of you for the incredible teamwork and support you have given me over the last few years, months, and days. Your dedication to our team and to our patients amazes me every day, and I realize that I don't recognize all of you often enough. But if that is not enough, your care and teamwork has led to significant improvement in the care and outcomes of our patients. I see it every day. Our ability to take care of sick outpatients, to communicating with them in a timely manner, to getting them the medications that they need, et cetera, et cetera. All of that has improved tremendously because of your compassion and teamwork. Anyway, on this happy Friday, I want to thank you all for the incredible work you do for our patients and in supporting me. I could not do this without you. Have a great weekend. Jonathan. Man, the administrative leader thanked him for that and said that because he did that, because she knows the value of that to our colleagues and to our staff, that she thanked him for being a servant leader by leading by example. Man, that is just tremendous, man. That's the kind of people that I get to hang out with, man. And so, Dr. Scott to Dr. Layden, to Dr. Jerkowski and many others, man, that on a regular basis, they express gratitude like it's breathing for them. It is authentic, it is sincere, and it comes from the heart. And I said this many years ago that I wanted kindness to be like breathing for me. Like I was going to train myself to where that's how I was going to show up every single day. And I can say that that's what I do. And like anything else, it's a muscle that needs to be exercised for it to remain strong and to remain, consistent. And gratitude is that. So Rick, anything you want to share about the power of acknowledgement?
I think there's an enormous connection between our own inner peace and well-being and sharing that with others in the form of acknowledging their work, their love for you, their mission in life and what they're accomplishing and what they're doing, and just the way they are that impresses you and adds to your life. There's a connection between that and inner harmony. There's also a connection between gratitude, inner harmony, and acknowledgement of others. And I would say that I'd even go further. I think that acknowledgement is something that is rare because I think people are fearful that the more credit they give to others, the more love they give to others, the less there will be for themselves, or that it won't be reciprocated, and that'll make them feel bad. And then they will go down and spiral down into some sort of depression. But the opposite is true. When you acknowledge the world, when you acknowledge friends, when you acknowledge yourself, and be kind to ourselves about muting that terrible green hulk of a monster that sometimes shows up and wants stuff and wants to hurt other people or compete with them. We end up rewarding our highest self. And I think that, it's not just for other people, it's really for ourselves, as you said, with the studies. I also think that we could do an acknowledgement that's so important for the world, acknowledging the world. And I'm not talking about just people. I'm talking about the life force. How would we acknowledge the life force that's within all of us? Your life force and my life force and all of the things that are sentient, all the things that are breathing, all the things that have life come from the life force. And one of my favorite Buddhist poets is a guy named Dogen, D-O-G-E-N. And he does an acknowledgement that I just love. And I think of this every day. And what he's thinking about when he wrote this was the beauty and the overwhelming power, but at the same time, the overwhelming gentleness that the world has. And he acknowledged the world in this way. His poem was called Acknowledgement. And he starts out by saying, "To what should I liken this world? Moonlight reflected in dewdrops shaken from a crane's bill. To what shall I liken the world? Moonlight reflected in dewdrops shaken from a crane's bill." That to me is beautiful. And that's a wonderful acknowledgement of the life force and our role in it.
Oh, wow, Rick. Man, that's beautiful, man. It resonates deeply, man. When I find that I'm acknowledging others, I'm doing something, my acknowledgement of others or expressing gratitude for them. You know what it's replaced? And I've just thought about that now. Since I started doing it 7 years ago, one of our first podcasts was episode number 7, episode gratitude. And I'm not complaining when I'm acknowledging other people. The world isn't a bad place. There's nothing wrong when I'm acknowledging others. Seriously, and I think about before when I was too busy to take a time to write a note or to call someone to express something, to thank them for something. For however they show up, in my life, or who, or the person that they are, or the behavior that is something, worthy of modeling. And I think about that, I was not conscious to not be aware of the blessings that people give you every single day is to be conscious. I'm so locked into what I'm working on that I really lost sight of the human connection and how many people make all of this possible for me to do whatever it is that I'm doing. I don't want to lose that, man. And when I think about myself and I think about other people that are complaining, it would be more powerful, because in the complaining, it's you're not doing anything, but suffering. What would be more powerful than complaining is to replace that complaining with an acknowledgement of something good, of someone good. To train yourself that every time I start complaining, I'm going to replace that with acknowledgement. I'm going to call somebody, I'm going to text somebody, I'm going to write somebody. I'm going to replace, every time I complain, this is what I replace it with. My friend Brian Hardaway asked me, hey, listen, Keith, how do you, he's like, man, and I want that 6-pack. I want this and that. But sometimes they put that food in front of me or that dessert and I can't say no to it. And what I told him was, I said, here's what I want you to do. Every time they put that piece of pie, that key lime pie in front of you, I want you to touch your stomach. And if you don't feel a 6-pack, you don't need it. And so,
Great,
and then
great,
when you do feel a
man.
six pack, you won't want to eat it.
You won't want to. That's right.
So I said it works every time. And that's the thing I'm saying. When you want to complain,
That's great.
replace that complaining with something good by acknowledging something in someone else. And it's the easiest thing to do, man, to replace that behavior with something that's actually good. And I'll end with this, man. Yesterday, I was hanging out again. I get to hang out with the coolest people, man. I stopped by. I was with my friend Donna in the morning. I was hanging out with my friend Tanya Berry after that. Then I was hanging out, had a meeting with my friend Julie and Jen after that at Mayo. Man, I'm just like, dude, it's from one good thing to another. And
you get paid too. Holy cow.
I'm getting paid to hang out, and then I followed that up with, I had lunch with John DeCuna, man. This guy, man, top of his game, top of his field. And all he does is like give back to others, man. And so I really want to strengthen my chops in the research area, in the research space. He's given this amazing opportunity. I mean, he's doing life-saving surgeries in the morning. He's breaking bread with me, sharing with me a template on how to do research and how to build a research team, and inviting me to be part of his team that meets once a month, man. I'm this little guy, man, and he's like, who doesn't know anything? Like, he's like, come here, baby bird. Let me show you the mummy bird. My mouth is open. He's putting little food, putting food in my little beak. Rick, I got no complaints, man.
Oh man, Keith, you're riding it, man. You're riding it. That's great.
And all I do, man, is every day, man, just acknowledging. And he's enthusiastic about helping me, man, and helping me grow, man. I can't walk down the street without people trying to like contribute and give to me, man. It's just, and so, people think, I think sometimes that people may, say like, man, Keith is always like being, thanking over the top. We should all be over the top because we got so much goodness in our life. I'm just present to it. That's why I thank everybody like all the time, man. I'm present to it. Yeah. It's like, we should all be doing it because it's all around us, man. The power of acknowledgement, man, is just, it's the simplest thing when you get out of your way and get out of your head. And if anybody says this is awkward for me, it's only awkward because you're used to doing it the other way, of withholding acknowledgement, of withholding, gratitude and all these other things. You've been distracted. Mm-hmm. But it's the easiest thing to do is to open your heart and express what you're feeling, man, for someone else. It's the easiest thing to do. So, Rick, you want to close this out?
I'm telling you, man, there are very few people in the world that you want to invite into the foxhole. You don't want to be in a foxhole ever, but you want to be in a foxhole with people like you. Oh, and like Dr. Hardaway and like Brian and Pete and our buddies and the folks at Mayo that you're talking about. And everyone at Mayo, I'm sure, who sees this is blown away. But the idea is they matter and they contribute. And that foxhole literally can be big enough for all of us.
Oh, man. Thank you, man. I mean, the list just goes, it's just, I can't even name anybody. I mean, I can't name everybody, man. I mean,
oh, Keith, I think they know it. That's the cool thing. They know it.
It's so amazing.
It's a wonderful thing.
It is. Rick, man, thank you, man. I love you, man.
I love you. We'll see you next week.
See you next week, Rick. Thank you.
Adios.